Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dinner time is here. That's right. We're talking about season 2, episode 13, the season finale of Hannibal on Dish by Dish. Greetings and salutations, internet people. This is your old pal Patrick Hamilton coming to you once again for the final time this season from the Baltimore Institute for the Criminally Insane. This is the Dish by Dish podcast, our Kill by Kill spinoff, where we talk about an episode of Hannibal in the order in which it aired. And of course, we're talking about the season finale of season 2, Mizumono. And of course, there's only one person I trust that, based on the weird confluence of our past, if you merged our faces together, no one would notice. The one, the only Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Good, but I thought you were going to say I'd be the only one you would trust, and if I was here grievously injured with a slash wound to the neck, that I would, stagger over and attempt to cover the spurting wound with my hand.
Your bare hand, and it just comes out between your two fingers.
That's because I'm actively dying myself.
Hard to get a grip when you've been gutted. Oh my God, this episode. I don't remember how I made it through the week between these episodes back when they were broadcast on television. I can only imagine how hyped up I was for this particular episode, given the greatness of episode 12. And if you want to hear it, our reaction to episode 12, you didn't miss it. It's in your podcast feed. We've been doubling up on Dish by Dish because, Halloween season is upon us, and we kind of have to clear the decks in order to hit all of the little things that we've got coming your way. So for whatever reason, the first episode in your podcast, catcher, that's a real episode. Download it and listen to it. There's about 100 people who sort of only want the latest one and forget the one underneath it. Just go for it. Listen to both of them. It's worth your time and attention, I promise. Gina, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. No backup on this. You want people to skip that one episode?
Yes, you should absolutely do that.
Please do this, Gina. All right, get to it. God damn it. I got things to do. Anyways, let's get to it. We've got things to do. And it starts with a Will having conversations with both Hannibal and Jack about the various planes they have that the other one doesn't know about, but the other one actually does know about, because Will is a double serial killer agent. And it ends with this merging of both Hannibal and Jack, and finally a merging of the two halves of Will. And my question to you, Gina, did this opening scene inform Mandy?
It would not surprise me.
I mean, it's obviously a different technique of what is going on, but to me, it felt like it was seen. And they're like, we should do something like that. Obviously not copying it directly, but what an interesting idea in the sort of merging of storytelling and character. And I immediately thought of Mandy. That scene in Mandy is spectacular.
Oh, it is so unsettling.
Yes. And it's unto itself. I'm not saying, he copied David Slade, but I think David Slade creates something, like, he is so good at directing Hannibal. I want to see more from David Slade. I feel like, my chair is so fucking squeaky.
There's a lot of really genuinely beautiful cinematography. Throughout the show as a whole, but particularly in this episode.
Yes.
Like the particular, people who are watching along with us, I would call attention to whenever rain is shot. Mm-hmm. And it just looks very, very, very mystical and beautiful.
Yeah. I think every part of this episode, once it reaches Hannibal's house, is just giving you the most cinematic version of Hannibal you could ever give.
Yeah, you even have a shot of him walking out of his house in slow motion.
Right. Everything's cool. Everything's gory. Everything's covered in blood. All the characters are converging. I mean, it brings everything it has to the table. And it's like, because Hannibal, the production, and Brian Fuller and company never really knew whether or not they were coming back until after, the entire season had aired. I think they tried to always end on a banger, just something that would make the audience go, oh my God, I can't wait to see how they get out of this one. They really understand, and this is odd coming from us, what a finale truly is. Obviously, the show is very operatic, and to that point, they know how to hit a crescendo. And this episode is a real fucking crescendo.
I generally try to avoid fandom if I can, because it invariably ends up being weird and toxic.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wish but going back rewatching this, I wish I knew how people initially reacted to the ending of this episode. Particularly if they didn't see the post-credit sequence.
Wait a second. I didn't see the post-credit sequence.
When you see Hannibal on the plane with Bedelia.
Oh. No, my thing kind of crapped out.
They run full credits. And then you get the shot with Hannibal on the plane speaking the Frenchy French with Bedelia.
And we get a stinger, do we?
Yeah. And we never had that before, so there's no reason why anybody would think to hang around for that.
True, very, very true. That must have blown people's minds.
Right, it's like, wait, everybody died?
Oh my God, yeah. Because and even, I mean, the wonderful thing that I love about the formal credits ending is that it ends on blue sky and clouds, like it's Highway to Heaven. I mean, holy shit. They really know how to stick a fucking landing on this show.
They sure do. Like, now everybody has ascended.
Yes. And I'm reminded, we might be backtracking a little bit, but we didn't talk about it in episode 12. Jack was warned by Dr. Bedelia that if Hannibal, if he thinks that he has Hannibal cornered, it's only because Hannibal wants him to think that. So he's warned ahead of time. Like, you may think you have all your I's dotted and T's crossed, but there's no way you're outthinking Hannibal when it comes to this. Like, he's always known someone was going to come for him. He has a fucking plan. And
that's the thing. One of the common threads in this show with almost all the characters is they all think they're smarter than everybody else.
Yes, true. And they're plenty smart. They're just, none of them happen to be smarter than Hannibal.
Right.
And they're somewhat fooling themselves that they are. So Jack is kind of going into this with a fuck around and find out attitude, And before he goes, the return of Cade Purnell arrives. And she's like, I don't like anything that's happening here. I don't like what you've done for the past 12 episodes. This is a shit show. There's constantly new Chesapeake Rippers. You had a guy who killed a guy and then mutilated him and kept him on your staff. She's like, well, killed in self-defense. She's like, we don't have any evidence of that. And he's kind of like, well,
also people who kill someone in self-defense tend to not stretch their severed heads over over the skeleton of a cave bear.
But it would have been in his last will and testament. Like, come on. Like, it's what he wanted. You can't say it's not what he wanted. He also wanted to kill people in his Robo-Bear costume, and he did. Oh my God, it's so fucking wild. And then you have the, fake death of Freddie Lowndes of murderstab.biz. A t-shirt I've still fucking around trying to design, and I'm very bad at it. But I promise it'll come one day. And so she's like, I'm shutting all of this down. And Alana's like, please don't, because we're about to catch the Chesapeake Ripper. And she's like, give me a fucking break. There's no Chesapeake Ripper left. Like, this is whatever's happening here. People need to go to jail. I'm going to arrest Jack and I'm going to arrest Will. And to that, I'm like, why didn't you just fucking arrest them right away? Why did you wait?
A lot of stuff that ultimately happens in this episode is because people just take too long to make their move.
Right. And, we've known since the first episode that Jack and Hannibal are going to have a massive fight in the pantry. And we get to see it again. It's just as brutal as it was the first time, if not more so. Jack manages to put a door between him and Hannibal, but he still has a piece of glass in his fucking neck. And he's trying to call his wife, who we know is still alive and very pissed at the fact that Hannibal denied her what she wanted to do with the end of her life. And so it's just rough, man. Every part of this is rough.
Yeah, it's like the last 15 minutes of the show are just nonstop graphic violence.
Yeah. Because then Alana shows up. She sees that a door is ajar and she hears gunshots. And does she? I don't even think she actually hears gunshots. I think she just says there's gunshots because she's got a gun in her hand.
So I think she's like, there's about to be gunshots.
Yeah. Time is elastic. Gunshots are coming. And she wanders in and, gun drawn, just as, Will had told her to do. Buy gun, practice. And so she's got Hannibal in her sight. And he's like, oops, doodles, I took your bullets.
Which she honestly should have guessed that he might do that.
Yes, right. What no one possibly could have guessed, and I managed to forget entirely, is that she runs upstairs, locks herself in the bedroom, and lo and behold, who's in the closet? Our old pal, Abigail.
Yeah, that's another, like, what? Oh, come on moment.
Like, is she missing an ear? Was that actually her ear? Was that somebody else's ear?
Well, they seem to be able to come up with spare body parts a lot for these kinds of things. Like they I don't know what, poor, vagrant stood in for Freddie Lowndes' body, but.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. They've just got spares at the ready.
Yeah. They just, it had a dental bridge that they could use to, yeah, that's Freddie Lowndes' teeth. All right.
And she's like, what is going on? Before she really knows, Abigail takes a runner at her and pushes her out the second story window. And there goes
she does a Hans Gruber, looking very shocked all the way down.
Yes, very shocked. If Hannibal's gonna crib, it's only gonna crib from the best. And she lands outside,
just flat on her back on concrete, still somehow breathing when Will gets there.
Yes. I don't know how, but yeah, enough.
People in this show are very, very, very tough.
They're very resistant. They're hard to perish. As it were,
as we will see in season 3, like characters you have assumed, well, surely they must be dead. I'm just going to leave it at that.
And as such, Will pulls up in a fucking taxi. He evaded the police with the use of a taxi. Okay. Again, we're not coming to Hannibal for reality.
It's like in The Critic when the episode where he has the woman stalking him and they both get in a cab. They both follow each other in a cab. And at one point they go over the Brooklyn Bridge and it plays a scene from Taxi.
Oh my, that's a good reference. And he's like, "Oh, you look like you're in pain. Here's my jacket." And then he goes inside.
Yeah, and here's, I mean, the thing that I couldn't help but notice is like, did Alana not call the police about 10 minutes ago?
Oh yeah, no, this is.
There's a lot of time for talking before the cops get there. If they I guess they eventually get there.
Yeah. Well, when they call the cops the fucking wolf trap, they're there in a millisecond. Whereas in downtown goddamn Baltimore, you call the cops. You're like, we'll get there when we get there, I guess.
Come on, man, it's raining.
I got this fresh donut. I was going to deny this guy his rights. All right. And so in walks Will, and he's like, all right, man, I got you dead to rights. And Hannibal's like, come on, don't you remember the allegory of the teacup? I'm gonna, I dropped it and I hoped it would come back together. And then he points off and fucking Abigail's right there. And it completely throws off Will's game. But I have to add that we have another callback in this episode to the very first episode of Hannibal. And that is that Will calls up Hannibal and says, they know.
Yes.
He fucking warns him. He warned him.
And then he gets there. He's like, oh, you didn't leave. It's like, Will, why are you trying to help him escape after all this time?
Why would you then fucking show up if he was not going to be there? Why?
And why would he think that he would leave?
I don't. I'm very confused. This is where I think we get into, we're of the level of these two are in love with one another.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because it's gone beyond a friendship or a connection to the point where it really is about this intimate relationship that they can't get anywhere else. And despite logic, they just refuse to adhere to logic because they're in love and so forth. So they don't have to be concerned with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Will would be perfectly, I don't know, happy is the right word I would use because I don't know if Will is capable of happiness. Yeah. Very, very glum boy. Very, very sad boy.
Very sad boy. He needs a well that he could talk to, like the SNL commercial of Wells for sad boy. Yeah.
But I think he would prefer to spend the rest of his life doing this dance with Hannibal.
Yeah. I mean, cue up your Batman and Joker relationship sort of deal. They want to do the dance. That's more important than the actual catching. And as a result, when Abigail's introduced, it's kind of like, well, now he's got Will by the nuts. And of course, Abigail is right in the zone where she has no control over her own mind or actions. So when Hannibal goes, yeah, come over here. I'm going to put you in the same position that your dad did and when he tried to kill you. And so we'll see how it goes this time. And he totally slices her neck. And there's more blood from that neck slice than in any Friday the 13th movie.
Oh yeah, this is spurting.
Yes.
And a lot of corn syrup in this episode.
For sure. And Will gets it in the gut and he's bleeding everywhere and he's trying to cover things up.
Yeah, that's that Manhunter reference again, because that is the injury that Will Graham has canonically suffered by Hannibal Lecter.
Yes. And it does, I mean, this does kind of solve that mystery so much better than the remake version of Red Dragon that was seen, where they try to, I don't know, it's very down to earth and everything, but it's just one of those, like, you would never be, I don't know. I won't say that. It's PTSD. But this is a more rational explanation for when Jack tries to recruit Will to come back to try to catch this guy. Why he doesn't want to come back, because who the fuck would want to get involved in this business anymore when this is what happens to you?
Right.
Ay, 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 ay. This is a wild, wild, wild fucking ride, Gina.
Yeah, I mean, you are pretty certain by the end of the episode that everybody is if not already dead, is dying.
Yes.
You've got Jack bleeding out in the pantry. He's trying to call his wife, and he just it sort of looks like he stops breathing at one point. Mm-hmm. Abigail appears very dead. Yes. Will is basically, holding his guts in, mm-hmm. and, Alana probably can't feel anything from like the waist down.
Yeah. If not the neck. It is bad. And then of course you get the Highway to Heaven visuals. The only thing missing is someone singing knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Like, the only thing.
What a friend we have in Jesus.
And so there we have it. It is season 2. And so we must ask, if you had to choose a season of Hannibal that we've watched for Dish by Dish, which one would you choose and why? Season 1 or season 2?
I think that if you were going in hoping for something that has the vibe of Silence of the Lambs predominantly, that's the movie in this whole series people are the most familiar with. Mm-hmm. You're gonna want season 1. Yeah. Season 1 is I don't want to call it a procedural, but it's much more straightforward.
They put on a procedural suit,
right?
Like a person suit,
right? And whereas season 2 is just like Cloud Cuckoo Land. It's nothing. As we keep repeating, it exists in a world that looks like ours, but isn't ours. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you are if you will prefer a more linear narrative, a more realistic narrative,
right,
you're not gonna be. This is not going to be your vibe too much.
No.
But if you're looking for like a Baroque nightmare, that this is the one.
Yes. I am of two minds, because I do kind of miss those great, amazing serial killer of the week episodes, because there's amazing stuff explored in them, some incredible visuals, great characters. It's a great way to build a bond between an audience and was that thunder on your end or
yes.
an airplane on mine?
No, it's thunder.
It's thunder. Good. I hope Thor arrives. And I don't know why I said good. And here, there's so many amazing moments that I love from this end of it. I just feel like the first half of season 2, when Will is in jail, is a little too turned around. It's a great way to end season 1, and then you have to get yourself out of that corner you painted yourself into, and that's a little sweaty. Whereas the second half of the season is so fucking amazing that it makes up for all of that. I don't know. It's really hard to choose. I love them both. Maybe that's it. Maybe I ruined the game.
They're great for two completely different reasons.
Yes. And yet the characters are consistent. There's no, grand turn of, like in the Fast and the Furious movies where like Ludacris is a guy who installs car radios and then all of a sudden he's the greatest hacker in the world. They never make that jump. No. But they should. They should invite Ludacris in for season 4. But it just manages to take these characters and put them into just a different kind of format that flows throughout this particular season. And the highs are so goddamn high. I mean, 12 and 13 alone. And to be, I love 10 and 11 too.
It just really, shows you what someone who is rather plausibly, given as it was network television, kind of given free reign to do whatever they wanted with this kind of show, and not to beat a dead horse, but it's a dead horse that definitely needs beating. To compare it to, Clarice.
Yeah.
Which is as dry and dull and formulaic as any crime procedural show has existed. Where that one just they play it very safe. They seem to forget that in the Hannibal Lecter universe, beyond Silence of the Lambs, it does get very weird. And very fantastical and not really resembling much of real life. Yeah. And then they're like, nah, we're just going to make this a detective show.
Yeah. That could have existed at any time.
Right. It's sort of like taking the story of Dracula and then making it, about being a solicitor.
Or taking Dracula and putting him into outer space and giving him giant cauliflower balls on his head.
Exactly.
Yes. And speaking of the Vorvon, that is available on our Patreon right now.
I was going to say, you're not going to have any idea what we're talking about unless you pony up the cash. Come on, man. What are you waiting for? Christmas is coming. We got kids. They want, you know what kids want? Stuff. Stuff costs money. Give us money.
I can't divert my funds into paying for this podcast now. That just about does it. Once again, if you haven't listened to our episode for episode 12, please do so. We're doubling up here. I'm not sure when we will pick up Hannibal again. We've got some things coming in the hopper that we think you'll like, and we don't want to rush through Hannibal. Honestly, it's too good to. We love to savor. You know what I mean?
It's savor like a nice piece of lawn pork.
Right. And so we have fun stuff coming your way on Kill by Kill and our new extension, Kill by Kill After Dark, where we talk about the sexier side of murder.
We just got to get our robes, our incense, our candles.
Turn the lights down low.
Make that freaky scene.
Gonna pop a bottle of red wine. You got a little dribbling off your lip. Take that off for you.
Oh, speaking of things in one's mouth.
Yes.
I think this is the first time that in this episode that Hannibal served a dish that did not look appetizing to me.
Which one was that?
the aspic.
With the mushrooms sticking all out of it.
The jelly dish. I was like, don't know, Jack. Don't know.
Savory Jello.
Don't like the mouthfeel on that.
Ooh, say mouthfeel again. That's sexy.
Mouthfeel.
You broke me out of it. Anyways, I'm going to do entire episodes in that voice. So if you like that character, he's totally coming back as we talk about very unsuccessful erotic thrillers on Kill by Kill. And all sorts of fun stuff is coming your way on the regular Kill by Kill side as well. Until then, don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. For myself and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.